Hello, hello. Good evening, all. My name is Dr. Shatiea Blount. I am one of the podcast hosts with Barter Black, and tonight we have a very special guest, Miss Linette Cottrell. Welcome to the Barter
Thank
Black
you. Thank you.
Podcast.
Happy to be here.
Yes, yes, yes. So we like to get started, jump right on them because we only have an hour, and I'm sure that there's lots and lots that we have to talk about. So I'll introduce you to the audience and then give you a moment to pick up where I left off. Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful audience. Linette Cottrell is a powerhouse, is the powerhouse behind Empower Her Bookkeeping Solutions, where she transforms money stress into money confidence. Yes, for women founders specifically. So, with over 20 years of accounting leadership, she's not just balancing books, she is rewriting the money story for entrepreneurs who want clarity, courage, and peace of mind. Yes. So she
Yes.
also is the host of Empower Her Business Podcast, where she amplifies the voices of women navigating the first 5 years in business, giving them tools such as tools and truth to thrive. And she shows up with a unique blend of strategy, compassion, as you see, compassionate accountant in her tagline there, and a radical self love, making her both a financial expert and a champion for legacy building. And so I cannot wait to get into the details of that. Uh, is there anything else you
Wonderful.
want to add and introduce yourself to the people?
No, you did a great job. I love that introduction.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, to everyone in the audience, please feel free. This is a live stream. We have some questions that we're going to, ask Miss Lynette here. But if you have some, we really want to hear from you in the audience. So, feel free to chime in and we'll take a pause and definitely attend to your questions and thoughts. Yeah. So, let's
Great.
get started.
Mhm.
You ready?
Yes.
All right. So first, tell me what inspired you to start Empower Her Bookkeeping Solutions? Like, was there a moment that made you realize that women founders in particular needed this kind of support?
Yes, there was actually. I was working with the company where I was doing basically contract work for multiple entrepreneurs. So within a week's time, I could have seen 10 different small business owners, and I was working on a project basis.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized was just working with that entrepreneur on that project, I could see within their business what they really needed, in additional to what they were aware they needed.
Mm,
But of course, being hired just to do that project, I couldn't expand my services to let them know what I see and what I want to do with them. And that got frustrating
sure.
because, you see these business owners, and I love entrepreneurs. I've always worked with entrepreneur companies.
Mm-hmm.
And you see them building something and you understand their passion behind it. And then you're able to see what they need to tweak to just make it so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And having your hands tied and not being able to share that with them,
Mm-hmm.
it's what it really inspired me to just start my own company where I would be able to then see those business owners be able to look into their businesses and see exactly what they needed and have the freedom to offer it to them.
Yes. Could you give it? This sounds like you were restricted, and then you basically empower her. You had to empower yourself first, right?
Exactly.
to
Yes.
get in a position to be able to speak truth to what it is that you saw, and you felt very restricted in those other positions. So could you give me just a quick example of like something you may have been hired to do, but that extra thing that you saw that the business owner or woman founder didn't know, and that you're able to kind of share now?
Yes, because so in going into business, a lot of times I could be doing anything from training an entrepreneur on accounting software to the details of setting up their chart of accounts, restructuring their chart of accounts. So within that process, let's say I'm doing a chart of accounts restructuring, I'm able to see how they are posting their expenses and able to realize that they're not really capturing all the expenses they need to capture. So
Mm.
if my project is to just take the accounts they have and combine them or restructure them where they make more sense on the financial reports,
Mhm.
and for management who's looking at the reports and maybe they're thinking about selling their businesses, so those investors looking at the reports, I can do that within that project. But then
Mhm.
I didn't have the bandwidth to then say, okay, I see that you have these expenses, but it looks like these are missing, right? Or I
Mm.
see that you had this expense this month, but then I don't see it for the next 3 months. So where did it disappear to, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's not being captured. So, and that results in a couple of things. The primary thing is paying more taxes than they need to pay
Mhm.
because they're not deducting all their expenses. So they're reporting a higher income and they're paying more taxes on that income.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that's like
To be able to
tax
save
saving
money.
advice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I
And
couldn't give them.
what you're speaking of, so you had the capacity to um uh employ analysis, right?
Yes,
You were
yes,
able to analyze what you're seeing, but you felt prohibited, or you were prohibited from
yes,
speaking to that, to
yes.
what you saw. So that's
Mhm.
I'm glad that you freed yourself and
Yeah, me too.
empowered yourself in that regard.
Hmm.
So
Yes,
I could imagine something that you write a lot about in your mission and on your website. You talk about transforming money stress into money confidence. So what does money confidence mean to you and the women that work with you or the founders you serve?
yeah. So when I talk about money stress and even money trauma, a lot of times when I go into businesses, and so what the entrepreneur is aware of is that they have issues with their accounting and bookkeeping process. What they're not aware of is that what they really have is a money mindset issue.
Mm-hmm.
So society wise, we as women, we struggle more with discussing money, with going through reports that deal with money, with facing the money side of our business and being confident in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Asking for more money, right?
Mm-hmm.
More so than our male counterparts. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing. The other thing is, depending on our environment growing up with money, if we were never made aware of the concepts of what it takes to run a household, to pay all the bills, is the money left over after everything is paid. In additional to that, if there is scarcity exposed in our upbringing, in our environment. If we were always told, no, we don't have enough money for that.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not enough for that. Or even if we were in an environment where rich people were looked at as negatively, like wealth is
Mm-hmm.
negative, wealth
Mm-hmm.
is money is the root of all evil.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those type of stories and environments and experience that we have, they start showing up when we're building a business. So
Mm.
on one side, when you look at an entrepreneur, you think, well, that person is in business to make money. They can have, any issues with making money,
Mm-hmm.
but oftentimes we do,
Sure.
and we're not aware of it. And we think our issue is, oh, I just don't like looking at spreadsheets. I just don't like dealing with all these reports. When the underlying issue is, I'm just not comfortable looking at my numbers and understanding my money and saying that I really want to make this much profit
Hmm.
versus just getting by, and saying that I just want to replace that income from the job versus I want to build a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have more money than I need,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times when I go into these work with the entrepreneurs, I get to see how they really feel about the money. Why are you uncomfortable in this area? And I also do money mindset coaching because I can set you up a bookkeeping system and an accounting system that will run smoothly. But unless we address your money mindset, you will never grow and scale your business the way you really want to.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's more than just the system, it's the person behind the system,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah. It's true. I was just going to ask, like, how do you get that level of information from folks as it relates to like what their money mindset is? But then you begin to talk about, the coaching, because,
Right.
and I guess people, are you ever able to look at someone's books and recognize that they may benefit from from coaching?
Definitely, definitely. One of the key things is, do they have a clear picture of what their cash flow is? So are they able to see and understand not just the revenue they're making, but how much cash they have coming into their business and what's left over when they pay their expenses?
Mm-hmm.
Because some entrepreneurs I found are uncomfortable looking at the volume of their revenue,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not a safe space for them.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't know how to embody the worthiness of having a certain amount of revenue coming in. They feel safer barely getting by, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they think the struggle is, I need to take this another course. All the shiny objects that are in social media. I need this course to learn how to do this. I need that course to learn how to do that. And once I get that information, then I
And
will be more profitable.
mm-hmm.
That's the answer. When
Mm-hmm.
the answer really is the person. It's
Yeah, the root
something.
cause. Instead of taking
Yeah.
the next this shiny new object,
Yes.
you really help people to get to the root. Sounds like something that could be very scary or trepidatious. So how I see that you offer judgment-free bookkeeping. What does
Yes.
that look like in practice? And
Okay.
why is that the core value? Because even listening to it, it's like, oh, this could be scary for folks,
Yes, yes. And so the thing is that my profession really has a reputation of being judgmental when we work with people, right? It's like,
Right.
why do you have this over here? Why didn't you keep track of this? I need you to get this together for me. It's kind of like all the things you didn't do right is what you usually hear from us.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned early on in my career because I was working with a lot of creatives and I needed those creatives, and they despise numbers. They despise getting numbers together. So one of my earliest experience of working with this creative, brilliant creative, but came to me and brought me invoices that were like 6 months old. So the first thing I'm thinking is, wow, you must be doing pretty good that you can have 6 months of invoices that you haven't been paid on and it
Mm-hmm.
hasn't caused you a monetary problem.
Mm-hmm.
First thing, right? So you're making good money.
Mm-hmm.
But the second thing is, as the accounting department of this company, those are expenses that we haven't recorded, right? So that's 6 months worth of expenses that whoever's project you were working on, that expense was not in that project.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So initially, so I had to find a way to communicate with that brilliant creative and have her to understand that the importance of getting things to us timely, the
Mm-hmm.
benefit of it, and in addition to that, create a simple way for her to do that, right? So it
Sure.
couldn't be the traditional, you need to do this, I need to have this, all the I's dots and the T's crossed. It has to be, okay, this is all I need from you.
Mm-hmm.
Like bring it to me, we'll go over in 5 to 10 minutes and you'll be done.
Mm-hmm.
But I need it on time. I need this every other week. We need to get together and get this turned in, right?
So really
So,
becoming a team member and
yes,
removing like the barriers to, um, yeah, whatever the barriers are, right? Like,
right.
because I'm a
Yeah,
creative sometimes, right? So I can and I work with creatives as well, so I can understand like, oh, one more thing, I just want to do my thing,
right.
and the
Yeah,
administrative pieces can feel like a burden at times. So I can
yeah,
understand.
yeah, because it's a different flow. And I understand creatives because it's a different flow of energy, right? And
Hmm.
there's a lot of intuition.
Hmm.
It's not a lot of logic or concrete.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of energy and what comes through me, and then they display it outwardly. So that's
Mm-hmm.
a totally different energy from numbers and spreadsheets and the black and white,
Mm-hmm.
organization of things.
Mm-hmm.
So they can really feel constrained when having to deal with those things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and I never felt, and I always felt like it wasn't their problem. I needed to find a way to communicate it to them where it mattered to them, where it
Mm-hmm.
made sense to them. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that they need to understand accounting or bookkeeping the way I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need to be able to communicate in a way that it matters to them and they can understand it.
Yeah, I have. It reminds me of a friend of mine that I have. She works in healthcare and medicine, and she always gets frustrated with providers that speak to patients in ways that's like, look, you do this every day. You have to understand that this is your patient's first time hearing this thing, so you have to communicate it. The onus of for communication is actually on you to ensure that this person understands it, not in the way that you learned it in your
Exactly.
training, right? Your job
Exactly.
is to translate this to whatever human being or set of human beings are in front of you in a way that they can understand, right? So this
Right.
bi-directional responsibility and communication as opposed to this top-down approach. Amanda in here,
Exactly.
this is good information. Okay, Amanda, glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, and I love the word you use translated, because that is key to be
Mm-hmm.
able to translate it and break it down and make it sensible
Mm-hmm.
to other people. That's the key.
Yeah. So you mentioned that your services are tailored to the emotional side and the strategic side of women entrepreneurs with a specific focus on the first 5 years. Can you tell me why the first 5 years? Why is there an emphasis on the first 5 years?
Yes, so the first 5 years is, as we know, a very crucial point in business for every entrepreneur, because that's what I call the make it or break it period.
Okay.
In those first 5 years, you're getting your legs under you, and there's so many nuances about entrepreneurship that you don't know until you get into it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the main things is being able to shift your mindset from an employee to a
Uh,
business owner.
uh,
That's
yeah,
a process,
yes,
right?
yes.
And a lot of times, just one key thing in that one area is your daily schedule. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times we go from a job and we feel like, okay, I worked, you know, 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 on the job. I'm going to keep that same schedule on my work. I'm going to, make
Mm-hmm.
sure I'm sitting in front of the computer at 8 a.m. and I'm working until I get things done, as opposed to giving ourselves the freedom to figure out, to discover what's the best time of day that I'm most effective, right? It
Sure,
may not be 8 a.m. in the morning.
sure.
It may be earlier, it may be later. But now you have the freedom as a business owner to set your own schedule. And now, instead of going by societal systems of what a workday should be,
Mm-hmm.
which was put together for corporate benefit, not yours, you can now decide, okay, what do I want my workday to look like?
Mm-hmm.
When am I, when do I have the most energy, the most creative energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? When can I just go, go, go and forget about time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I can get into a zone more easily. I'm
Sure.
not tired. I'm not, feeling like I didn't sleep and get enough rest. So
Mm-hmm.
just that one element, giving ourselves permission as a business owner to say, I now own my schedule. I can discover, because we've been on a set schedule for so long, it's a discovery process.
Mm-hmm.
I can discover what time of day works best for me to get started and to end.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one element, right? And engaging in that without guilt. right? Without the people around you saying, "Oh, you're not up yet,"
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
you're still up working on the business, right? Giving yourself that freedom to say, "Oh, for as a business owner, this is how I want to set my schedule." So
Yeah.
that's just one small nuance, but
Yeah.
there's so many nuances that we really have to deal with as an entrepreneur, and that's why I also have the podcast, right?
Sure.
So that I can get into those details and help people because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So you really don't
All
know
the
what's
time. You
not
don't.
working.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
All
don't know
the
why
time.
it's not working. You're
Yeah.
thinking, well, if my only source of information is social media is not talking about these kind of things.
Yeah.
They're not telling you you can set your own schedule based on what works for you personally. They're
Mhm.
saying, follow this, follow my program, right? Buy
Mhm.
my program, do it this way. This is how I was successful, and this
Mhm.
is going to make you successful.
Yeah. No.
No,
This it
no,
may not make you successful, right?
exactly.
And you're recognizing, yes, you're buying their program. And what I really hear at the deepest level is that when you are aligning with what this framework
Mm,
is for you, you may be actually misaligning with your own magic, right? Like your own
exactly.
your own alignment, and you are
Right,
now trying to follow this
right.
blueprint
You're
that is,
forcing yourself to.
which is what you did sometimes in the employee space,
Yes, yes,
very interesting. As you know, I'm also a licensed psychotherapist, and
yes,
many of my clients are business owners or launching into entrepreneurship, especially as a result of a lot of the uncertainty and job loss experienced by Black women. And I find that even in some of my sessions, sometimes when I'm like doing a little bit of coaching and a little bit of therapy, I tell them, I'm like, well, you get the benefit of having a therapist who's also a business owner, right?
yes.
Um, is that, all money in the first 5 years, right? All money is not the money that you want to go after, but there's
No,
sometimes this kind of desperation to like, well, I can do this, so let me do this, and I'm interested in this, and let me do this, and I could do,
right.
so speak to that,
Yes,
from your perspective, specifically
yes,
for new entrepreneurs who are, getting in this transition space.
yes. So one of the hardest things for new entrepreneurs to do is to figure out who their true target market is and figure out what their core service or product is, right? And you talked about desperation because someone somewhere along the line we have the concept that in those first 12 months we are going to definitely supposed to be profitable, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to have enough revenue coming in to cover all our expenses and more.
Mm-hmm.
So what we end up doing is if we go through like a 90-day period or a quarter where things are going slow, is in that desperation we start saying yes to things that are not aligned with what we said our core service was.
Mm-hmm.
So the first challenge is identifying what our core service is and using maturity as an entrepreneur and saying, okay, I'm going to stick to this for the next 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's other things I can do because we are multi-talented.
Sure.
We have multiple skills, but
Sure.
that doesn't serve us when we're working to build a business.
Sure.
So it means that let's say there are 5 different things that I can do great. I know how to do them, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
I still need to pick only one or two to
Mm-hmm.
focus on for
Mm-hmm.
my business
Mm-hmm.
because my failure can come from spreading myself too thin.
Mm-hmm.
So then how do I market for 5 different things?
Exactly. And then your
It's
customer
watered
don't know how
down.
to find you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know how
How
to.
can I describe what I do if I'm saying, oh, I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this? And then the other downfall is that I want to be able to say, as a new entrepreneur, that my product or service is for everybody. There
Mistake.
is nothing for
Mistake. Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
If there was one key lesson I could teach entrepreneurs, that would be it. Do not step into entrepreneurship thinking that what you give or what you offer has to be for everybody
Yeah.
because you cannot market. There's no market strategy you can do that would cover everybody. You would be all over the place. Well, I need to talk to these people. I need to talk to these people. I need to have an ad for this. You just off
Yeah.
focus.
And it'll become very expensive eventually.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll
Yes.
take a pause because you have someone right now who is so impressed with what it is that you've been discussing that they want to go to their Barter Black portal right now and send you a message, but they are not able to see your complete name or business name to locate you or contact you in a portal. So if you can let them know how to contact you, and give your spelling of your name and the name of your business. So Miss Amanda Kidd can go ahead and get her consultation and be empowered her. Yeah.
Sure, Amanda. My complete name is Linette Cottrell, and my complete business name is Empower Her Bookkeeping and Accounting.
Yes.
So Empower Her is one word, bookkeeping and accounting.
Okay. And then I know if you go to the portal and if you search accounting, um, she most likely will come up if you
Yeah.
go and you filter in the search bar. Um, so Linette, you were speaking about really like finding your target audience or finding your niche. I also do some business coaching outside of with my clients who happen to be entrepreneurs for therapists wanting to launch their own private practices. And I tell you,
Okay.
it is the biggest feat sometimes because as therapists oftentimes we're trained like we're for everyone, like, oh,
Yes.
anyone and I'm like, no, if
Right.
therapy is really a relationship, you know, just like
Yeah.
coach, I'm sure you see this in coaching as well, right? If
Yes.
you are actually in a relationship, then how much sense does it make to say that you are
For
for everybody?
everybody.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? You
Yes.
cannot be for the
I don't
people.
have a type. That's a
Yes.
great example. I don't have a type. I'm
I'm
great
for
with
everybody.
anybody.
You're just out in the
Yes.
streets. That's never been a really good thing to
Yes.
have, you know? So you really, it really is a fruitful exercise to really sit and get centered and think about who you are and how you work and who you're best for. And, even today I had a conversation with someone, black woman, around, like being herself, and she's like, well, people might think it's a little hood or people, and I'm like, well, there are a lot of hood people who may enjoy this aspect of
Yes.
you. You have to be who, and really there was no, nothing against the hood, but a lot of times in our workspaces, blackness has been coined as unprofessional, right? And
Right.
so a lot of folks try to code switch, and so something about entrepreneurship is that you may not necessarily have to do that, right? Like you could also have some cognitive and psychological freedom to be who
Yes.
you are and attract the people who, who you enjoy
And I
working
think,
with.
yeah, and that's a very, very important point that you get to be your authentic self,
Yeah.
right? You get to now take off the mask and be yourself. And that tribe who's out there waiting for you to show up, they're waiting for you to just be your real self because there's enough people out there that are not being authentic. And
Mm-hmm.
when you find yourself trying to copy someone, oh, they're successful, so let me do it like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong answer.
Yeah.
A lot of times, what I tell entrepreneurs is we need to change our thought process into thinking that we need 100,000 customers, right? Let's look at the numbers. You probably need 50 good customers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's only 50 people that you're really trying to attract.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, can you attract 50 people just being you,
Yeah.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
let the other millions who can't relate to you go to someone they can relate to.
Yeah.
So if we would just kind of cleanse our thought process and realize, oh, I don't need everybody to love me. I don't need
Yeah.
everybody to relate to me because I don't relate to everybody.
Everybody, and isn't it such a fact? It's so freeing, it's so
Yes,
freeing. And
yes,
one thing for you too that I really love about how you incorporate this into your business, because you also have additional data points, right? You have data points to say, well, look at the numbers and how the numbers are faring for you in doing this. Look at
right.
your, as in your coaching position, you can say, well, look at your level of stress, right? And
Yes.
your the amounts of distraction you're engaged in,
Hmm.
you know what I
Right,
mean? And you could, here's the analysis word, I'm sure you can take what you're seeing in real life and seeing in the numbers and be able to help founders to understand, well, it seems like your energy is dispersed in this way, and look at how it's impacting yourself, and look at how it's impacting your numbers. You're still not getting the numbers you want
right,
with doing
right.
all of
We're
these
doing
other
all the
things, all
things.
these other
You're
things.
tired,
So
you feel burnt out, and you're
yeah,
still not getting your results. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's something as a therapist. I mean, I'm not looking at. I have my accountant. She looks at my numbers. We have a really good relationship, you know. But for you to have this coaching and accounting and bookkeeping um, aspect to your business specifically for women, I think is really amazing, because it's holistic, right? It
Yes,
brings it
that's
doesn't,
key.
it is not treating finances as the ostracized part of oneself. It is really
Right.
integrating and helping people feel comfortable. I love that.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Thank
Nice.
you.
It looks like Amanda was able to get sorted. She says thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay. So I spoke a little bit about the race component. As you know, we are here with Barter Black, which is a bartering platform specific for Black people in the United States, with the design for us to grow our businesses, et cetera, and really facilitate community amongst us. So, as a Black woman founder in the financial space, what unique challenges or barriers have you faced or experienced, specifically outside of kind of, being silent? I don't know if that was related to race or not, but have you experienced anything related to your authentic self in this business in terms of challenges
As an entrepreneur,
as a Black woman founder in this financial space? Yeah.
um, let's see. I think well, one thing that I found is being in service of Black-owned businesses. I hear a lot of people say that you should especially with my podcast, just focus on Black women exclusively.
Hmm.
I have had a couple of people to be offended by that.
Really?
Yeah, to be offended by, oh, why is it just for Black women? And I am just a passionate advocate of Black women having safe spaces they can come for information, for resources, and for support.
Hmm.
Because we get the least of all of those out
Hmm.
in society.
Hmm.
So I am very proud to be able to carve out a space for us, just
Hmm.
targeted for us, and it's not for all women.
Hmm.
It's just for Black women because we need that support, we need that impact. We need to be able to just breathe with each other and exhale, right?
Sure.
To take out those masks. There's so many places where we have to be a certain kind of way.
Hmm.
And there's not many places where we can come and just be ourselves.
Hmm.
And I think that is so healing for us, right?
Absolutely.
So I get that a lot when I talk to people and I tell them my podcast is for Black women entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
I either get a look, I get a comment, I get someone joking about, oh, really? Can I be in it? And this obviously not a Black woman saying it, right? And
Hmm.
I'm like, no. And when they ask why, I have an answer why. Because there are not other spaces we can go
Hmm.
where, and kind of the motivation behind me starting the podcast was because as I stepped out as an entrepreneur, I went to all the free workshops, SCORE, SBA, got all the information,
Likewise.
got all the tracks of do this and this and this and this, and it wasn't working for me. I wasn't getting those results. So I was like, I need to be able to talk to other Black women that have been successful in the entrepreneur arena and figure out what it is that I need to know, because
Mm-hmm.
these other systems are not designing solutions for me, for
Mm-hmm.
my unique issues, for my
Mm-hmm.
unique traumas, for
Mm-hmm.
my unique experience.
Mm-hmm.
They're not designed to help for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to speak to Black women entrepreneurs and learn about their experiences, their challenges, and just share the truth of what we experience as entrepreneurs and how creatively we find solutions.
Mm,
So,
Amanda
yeah.
says we're right about that. Yes. You know, I did the same, right? I had a couple of some mentoring thing, and it was this guy, and I'm like, after the first meeting, I never went back. I'm like, you can't mentor me. And
Right.
as I'm listening to you speak, oftentimes, you know, you have people liken their businesses to or refer to their businesses as their babies, right? Because
Mm.
you're actually you are giving birth to
Yes.
a breathing living
Yes.
thing that is not you. You think about some people whose businesses grow so much that they sell it,
Right.
or God forbid, you know, they get kicked off their own boards, or you know what I
Right.
mean, those types of things, you know. And so when you really think about your business as something that you are nurturing and growing, you're not going to have anybody as your midwife or your doula or your, you know what I mean, just somebody
Right.
with any credential. You're going to want to align with someone that you feel safe with, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And
Right.
so I do understand, like, what you mean when you're like, you wanted that for yourself, and then they say, you know,
Yes.
be the change you want to see in the world. And so it's
Exactly.
like, okay, I have access that for myself, and I also want to be that for other people, you know,
Yes.
and have them to trust you, right? Because
Mm.
there's this thing about safe spaces, and as a
Mm.
therapist, I'm like, any space could be unsafe quickly, you
Right.
know. And
Right.
so I really lean on the term brave spaces, right,
Mm.
where you know you know that you're taking a risk, right?
Right.
In any time you are sharing anything with about your business or your life or anything, and then you have to know, you know, be attuned to say, okay, well, is this a space where I want to continue to be brave and show up in this
Mm.
way, right?
Yeah.
Because I have seen safe spaces weaponized a
Mm.
thousand times, and for those
Mm-hmm.
reasons, I'm like, I'm not using those words, but I digress.
Right.
That's a personal. That's,
But
that's
I
a
love that word, brave spaces.
Yeah, because it really
Yeah.
acknowledges, you know, we aim to create safe spaces, but that is very much about us. The person coming to
Mm.
us in any capacity as a coach, as a therapist, as, you know, if you let somebody see your finances, you're just wide open, you're as naked as you could
Right.
be, you know,
Right.
you are taking a brave, it is very brave to just
That's right.
reveal yourself like that to someone. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
someone can be well intended to create a safe space,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but miss the mark. And then being brave is saying, you know, I think you're missing the mark a little bit, right? Because then
Mm.
that's where that real relationship comes in. And then you know
Yes.
this as a coach, you're able to attune, like you said earlier, oh, this creative person needs me to give it in this way. But if you
Right.
are so like, girl, this space is safe and you gonna like it,
Exactly.
we begin to perpetuate the very thing that we don't want to. So I think brave keeps everybody, you know, in the alignment and a tuning moment until the relationship is solid. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Amanda, brave spaces are crucial. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, let's see. Is there anything that you just wanted to share that we haven't covered as yet? Or I have more questions, of course, but just wanted to make sure that um, if there's anything that you wanted to share, or Amanda, if you had any questions you want to put in the chat. We have another person here too.
Okay. Well, one thing I want to make sure I share is you spoke earlier about being holistic. And I often say that I want Black women entrepreneurs to know that we deserve to have joy, health, and wealth without sacrificing either one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times when we look on social media, and this is my pet peeve about social media, is that two things. One, you only see the highlight reels, you don't see
Oh,
the crying days.
mm-hmm.
And two, is there's this hustle and grind culture that is totally unhealthy.
Sure.
So I was speaking to a sister earlier today, and we were talking about how our ancestors, how we are the dream of our ancestors, and how they had to work endlessly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tirelessly, and how we have the responsibility to find a better way to build legacy, right?
Sure.
We have the
Legacy.
responsibility to find a better way to build wealth,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that what we're building incorporates our joy. We are allowed to be joyous in building a business. We are allowed to be healthy, to get the rest we need, to take care of ourselves, have time for the exercise we need.
Mm-hmm.
And we are allowed to be wealthy,
Mm-hmm.
to have our joy, our health, and our wealth. So
Absolutely.
that's the holistic approach. I believe that any business we build should have those three elements as a minimum.
Absolutely.
And then we go it from there.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think sometimes we bargain with those things, right? We
Mhm.
we um we can't we feel like we can't have all three simultaneously,
Right.
or we are so much in the grind culture that we don't necessarily allow ourselves the downtime to be for the spark of genius to come to us. We think that we
Right.
are, just in this kind of capitalistic machine.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of information that reinforces that behavior. But as I tell my clients, you tell me something that is alive that doesn't rest. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yes.
And so what makes you different? You're not that special. You need to you
Right.
need to
Right.
you need to rest too.
Yes.
And I love your emphasis on legacy. I know that some common nomenclature is soft life, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
really understanding what the soft life is for you, because I've seen these t-shirts, I'm my ancestors' wildest dreams, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so if we look at it as like, okay, so folks before us worked very hard to get us here, right? So that we could have this level of joy and wealth, and what was the third thing?
Help.
And health, right?
Yeah.
And so we are going to use those things as resources. We now have those resources to be able to pass on to the next, and they will
Yes.
continue to build on these foundations. But sometimes, especially as Black people, we internalize struggle uh,
Yes.
to such a degree that if it's not struggle or hustle or
Right.
those things, we feel like we didn't work hard for it,
Right.
or etc. And we don't, and because of that, we don't utilize community. This is why I love Barter Black.
Yes.
We're like, I gotta get it on my own. I have to
Right.
do it. We're in this I space when we're stronger together all the
Yes.
time. Yeah.
Definitely. So I love that. Yeah. Barter Black collaborations, partnering with other businesses. And when you stop to think about it, it is more highly intelligent to work efficiently
Sure.
than it is to just plow your way through, right? And
Sure.
when you are content to just plow your way through the hustle and grind culture, you don't leave space for your creativity to come up with better ways to do things, right?
Sure. Yeah, you
If you
can't
have,
innovate, right?
yeah, if you have sold yourself at this is the only way to do it, I got to do it. It's hard. I'm tired. I got to keep going because that's what they said. Versus, is there a smarter way to do this where I don't have to spend 10 hours doing it? I would rather do it in like 3 hours.
Yeah. And Linette,
Can I
can I
do
say
that?
it? Cause can I say it? Cause sometimes they be lying, right?
They
They tell you
sometimes,
they
most of the
tell you they do
times,
it this way, but
yeah,
oftentimes that you are sold, marketing, right? And I marketers, they get a bad rap sometimes, but
uh-huh,
there are marketers that are, heart centered and true and ethical.
Right.
But oftentimes people are consuming someone else's marketing.
Right.
And
Right. It's not
that's
real.
it. It's not real, you know,
No.
and unless you are, you know, I don't even know, because you can be very senior in business and still, you
Right.
know, get got, for lack of a better way to put it. Um,
Right.
but yeah,
Well,
I
that's why I think alignment is so important because if
absolutely.
you give it the alignment test, like, does this feel right for me to be doing this for this many hours, or would I be more in alignment to find a better way to do it that didn't take as much time, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
And being when you become a business owner and you know that you have a quality product or service, you don't have to work so hard at sales, right? In
mm,
terms of um when you see someone is trying to sell you, like actively trying to, well,
right,
you, if you don't get my bookkeeping services, then you ain't this, you know what I
right.
mean? It's like, well, why are you utilizing these fear tactics? That's the word I'm looking for.
Yes,
When
yes,
you are looking at someone's whichever, and it's a lot of fear mongering that's
right,
happening, and you are seeing it, you are not aligned with it, but you are aligned with that scarcity mindset,
yeah,
the money mindset. Some of the target marketing is appealing to that side of you that you
yes,
may not even know exists, but through working with
right,
you around the coaching and money mindset, people become more aware and
right.
wiser and more empowered
Mm,
entrepreneurs. Yes,
yeah.
yes, Amanda, they be lying sometimes.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, and that's a challenge as a new entrepreneur because a lot of times you can't spot that, right? If you're just
Mhm.
getting to the space and you went from wearing one hat as an employee to wearing 10 different hats now
Sure,
as an entrepreneur. So you really can't spot everything and you get
sure.
caught up in things and it's a process.
Yeah, and
It
that's
really
why
is a
mentors,
process.
mentors and coaches and sponsors, if you will, and get somebody who really care about you,
Yeah,
that won't try to control you, but really offer you um, solid advice and support you if you take it or if you don't take it, right?
right.
Because
Exactly.
sometimes falling is a part of the process. For many of the folks that I coach, I say, hey,
Yes.
I made a lot of the mistakes, so you don't have to. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yes.
I know how
Yes.
to save you $3,000 right now. Don't do
Right.
that.
Right. I love that. That
You
is
know,
so
they
key.
got me, so
Yes.
they don't have to get you. Okay,
Right.
I can give you this for
Yes.
free.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yeah, I tried that. It didn't work. I can
Hmm.
tell you what's going to happen.
Yes,
You can
yes,
listen if you want to,
yeah.
but I can tell you exactly what's going to happen because I tried it. I know
Absolutely.
what you're thinking. I know, and that's one of the benefits of bringing entrepreneurs onto the podcast because they can share their challenges, and it can be something that you're just getting into, but they hit that 3 years ago, and they can tell you, right?
Sure,
I
sure.
tried that. This is how it turned out for me. This is what I realized, and this is what I learned from it, right?
Yeah, it's
So when
really
we can
leveraging
learn from each other.
the power of community and testimony, right? Like, so these things aren't new. They're in new formats, right? They're called
Yes,
podcasts now. Before,
yes,
it was at the, community town center where, where you have
yes.
these kind of spaces, and now they are digitized, but
Mhm.
conceptually, it is the griot of our communities that's
Right.
passing down the stories to, like, hey,
Exactly.
and so I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so thank you, Amanda. She's saying it's a rich dialogue. Thank you both. Thank you for being here. Very active in the
Yes.
chat on Facebook. Um, so we are coming up on time. So Amanda, if you have any questions, I guess your questions, you put yours in the platform. So I'm sure Linette will get to those.
Mhm.
Anything you have coming up, Linette? Anything that how can people get in touch with you? We're going to get ready to go ahead and close out. So just want to make sure that
Okay.
people know how to access you.
Sure. So when we were talking about holistically, one thing that I'm working on currently in creating is a quarterly meditation series for the podcast.
Okay.
So quarterly is going to be 12 weeks of meditation. So a morning meditation with the journaling prompt, and I'm creating a journal to go with it, hand in hand with it. So
Oh,
the
nice.
meditation, yeah, the journaling, just to help us as women entrepreneurs get more grounded and centered and be mindful of how we step into our day, right? How
Mhm,
we set intention for our day, because there's enough things out there that makes building a business a tough process,
sure.
that if I could ease us into the day and ground us with an affirmation, something we can go back to during the day when things get tough, and then fall into at the end of the day to round out the day, that's what I'm creating. So my
Nice.
goal is to have that available for the first quarter of 2026, and
Exciting.
do a new quarterly series every
Okay.
quarter, because
Nice.
I believe a 90-day process. I know a lot of people say 21 days to create
To
a new
break a
habit.
habit. Mm-hmm.
I believe 90 days,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do
Mm-hmm.
something consistently for 90 days,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've grown and changed,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
have recalibrated your nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
you've calmed your mind, you've invested in your peace, and now you've got something new that your system is used to and
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to.
Yeah, and that it becomes the new normal. Yeah. It
Exactly,
becomes the
your
new
new
normal.
normal. So
Nice.
I can be reached at my website. So the website for the business is empowerherbookkeeping.com.
Hmm.
The website for the podcast is empowerherbusiness.us.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Nice. And you are accepting new clients currently, yes?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay. And you are accepting clients across the United States, or are you situated in a particular area?
So I'm based in Florida, but I service nationwide.
Nationwide. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Linette. This has been a very fruitful and exciting conversation with you. I really appreciate your holistic view. I love the way that you marry accounting and health, right? And mental health and emotional health,
Yes.
and legacy building, um, and in a very trauma informed way. I
Mm,
think that's really beautiful,
mm,
and trauma from each from all experiences, right? I love
right.
that you didn't just name poverty as one, but you really
Mm,
spoke to traumatic experiences or mindsets that come along with being wealthy, if one is
yes.
wealthy. You know, I love that you had that balance, and I really appreciate, you know, your time this evening. And I am wishing you all of the joy, rest, legacy building,
Yes.
empowerment, abundance, and all the things. Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here with you.
absolutely. Thank you all. I am Dr. Shatiea Blount, podcast host and strategic wellness consultant with Barter Black. And I'll see you all on the next podcast. Thank you so
All
much.
right.